Hey everyone, Mherex here, bringing you another video. This one is going to be on Hype after a weekend to play with it. Hype sucks. Hype's the worst thing ever. I'm done playing. I hate this game. It's pay to win. It's all for whales. Hype is the worst thing ever. Do I have your attention? So, I would like to start by saying, prior to Hype, everybody was asking me when Hype comes out, will you release tutorials? Will you help us, figure out how to use it and stuff like that? So Hype released 4 hours before Feud, and I made videos, lots of videos about Hype, not whether I thought it was good or bad. I made videos that I thought would be helpful to you, the player, to have a better experience, right? Like what things you could do, how Hyped worked, things you could do to negate overhype. That's what I call it when their hype is higher than yours, overhype, and things like that. I made these videos all weekend long. I didn't put any time into making a video bashing Hype or that kind of thing. So I want to start with that. I want to read a few comments. A lot of similar comments. There were tons of positive ones and good ones too, but I want to read a few and then we'll talk about them. We'll talk about what I think is good about Hype, what I think is bad about Hype, what I think could be done to improve Hype. And also, so if you're not interested in logic or conversation, this probably isn't the video for you. Just, I'm going to say that ahead of time. If you don't want to play the game, this is probably not the video for you, right? If you want to be miserable, also probably not the video for you. That being said, let me just read some of the things people had to say. I won't name their names. I mean, you can look on comments of videos and see it yourself. They clearly had no problem saying it. Let's see. And I'm just going to read the negative ones. This is one of my favorites. So the name of the video is No Hype Superstars Still Easy Wins. Try this out. Why the hell are you supporting Scopely? I already told you this system is for pay to play and not for free to play. Interesting. What a garbage system. Turnstile is effing BS. You can't win against whales with moments in gear. MP reduced trainers won't help. Okay. The frustrating part isn't that it's hard. It's in a game with almost 700 characters. We need a workaround that limits our options to reversal characters to counter a garbage system that wasn't needed for anything other than a cash grab, and then being told nothing is wrong with the system. Who told you nothing is wrong with the system? In this particular video, I was showing you how to win against overhyped people. I'm pretty sure I never said there's absolutely nothing wrong with hype in any of the videos I did. All right. Interesting. This is another one of my favorites. People already have a full lineup of level 3 hyped cards. My level 1s can barely win. Definitely not fast. The game is supposed to be fun. I don't see how the devs thought hype added fun to the game. My issue with the timing of the release was the timing of the release of Hype. I agree. We'll talk more about that later. They should have released it on a Monday to give people a chance to understand it more. Completely agree. Really appreciate the video. The game is definitely more strategic now, which isn't a bad thing. So the reason I read this one is this is a great example of constructive criticism and giving his opinion. He stated what was wrong with it, that he didn't like, and then he gave an option that would have been better, right? So, for example, he didn't like the timing of the release, which I completely agree with, but he gave a solution, which would have been to release it on a Monday. This is very thoughtful conversation, the kind of stuff I completely agree with, and the kind of feedback and comments that I appreciate. Game was expensive before, no reason for me to play now. What happens in future when going against level 4 or 5 hype players it works if it works how it looks. This particular fella commented this on almost everything I said, where I commented to other people. So I said, what happened before going up against 6-star golds when you had 6-star silvers? Curious. His response was, pretty sure what happened, it didn't change the order of who went first or limit your choices to people with reversal moves. I'll have a lot to say about that one coming up. And not to that commenter in particular, but just about to that complaint. You know what I mean? And there was a ton of people that said a lot of nice comments, right? I'm just reading some of the negatives. So nice that you try to defend Scopely for their bullshit hype mode. It's for the play to win in whale, guys, and that's it. I'm pretty sure I never defended Scopely just because I made a video trying to help you beat overhyped characters. That's me defending Scopely. Very curious. Another comment on that is absolutely right. Scopely bitch Mherex. Okay. You know, my favorite, and this is actually this wasn't on this video, it was on one previous. It's the dumbest comment and the most insane comment I've got in the whole time I've been a content creator, like ever, right? And let me find it. You guys are gonna laugh so hard. I think it's worth reading just for that. So this was on my video of struggling with hype. This will help with feud. I'm pretty sure it's this one. I gotta pull it up because it is so funny. I should have screenshotted it instead. It's here somewhere. Basically, I'll paraphrase a little bit because I'm not seeing it. Oh, here it is, right here. The hype sucks. Flex couldn't handle getting beat in Showdown by free-to-play players. Whaley CCs are responsible for this hype shit. Oh my gosh, dude. 1, could Flex live any more rent-free in your head? 2, do you realize how what you said is? People have been complaining that Showdown brackets are pay to win, where you buy energy, yet somehow the whale couldn't beat a free-to-play, and Flex isn't a whale, by the way, but by your logic here, right, whaley CCs, so didn't buy energy to beat the free-to-play? I mean, like, if Flex wants to beat somebody that's free-to-play, if he spends $5, he's going to win. He probably won't have to spend much money to win either. So just if you guys didn't know, in Showdown, if you do everything right free in a Showdown event, and you have everything set up right, you can get to about 18,000 points free. If you spend $10, you can get to about 22 to 24,000 points free. If you use your energy right, use it at the right time, and use strategy. So a lot of times when I see people saying my bracket is super whaley, people are just whaling to win. That's not actually accurate. In a lot of cases, they're probably spending nothing and being smarter and better equipped, or they're spending very little, $5 to $10, just so you know. I'll make a Showdown video and explain it soon, actually. So these are some of the comments, right? And of the negative stuff I read, there was one that was done what I would consider the right way. Now, let's get in here and talk about hype. What I like, what I don't like. This is an opinion piece. I want to remind you guys again, what I was trying to do was help people, which was what I was asked to do repeatedly before hype came out. They're not opinion pieces, right? Like my free to play, I didn't even use this hype yet because I wanted to record it, show you guys how the free to play was going to go about it. I didn't even do that. I feuded with the free to play all weekend with no hype, actually. So yeah, let's kind of dig in here, and we'll talk about what I think were the most complaints I saw, and there's kind of 7 of them, right? The time increase. It takes longer to win. I think that's a valid complaint, and we'll talk about that. So you need reversals or MP down. A lot of people said. Okay, I think to combat overhype level. I think that's fine. Right? That's a fine statement. 3, not free-to-play friendly. We will talk about this a lot. 4, not new player friendly. This one we'll talk about even more, probably. 5, it's impossible to win against overhyped people. We will certainly talk about that. 6, I want to use who I want to. And 7, the timing. So when it was released. And 8, I can't go turn 1. That's BS. Those are some of the overarching themes between Discord and that. So we'll actually now talk about hype, right? What I think. This is an opinion piece. Keep in mind, if I don't agree with your opinion, that's not me defending Scopely. I always give you guys my opinion. If I think a prize wall's trash, I say it's trash. If I think it's meh, I say it's meh. If I think it's great, I say it's great. If I think a superstar comes out and they're good, I will say they're good. If I think they're great, I'll say they're great. If I think they're bad, I'll say they're bad. That's what I do, right? If you don't like what I have to say, that's fine. But just because I don't agree with you doesn't mean I'm defending Scopely, all right? So I want to let you guys know I actually got a lot of comments of people that enjoy hype. Some of my closer friends in the game really enjoyed it, right? I enjoy hype. Does that mean it's perfect? No. Is that me defending Scopely? No. Are there things I would change? Yes. So let's talk about that, okay? So the first one I think is a very legitimate concern in the sense that it does take longer to score points in Feud, right? I'm not somebody that has particularly loved Feud, although I had more fun this weekend feuding than in a very long time. I did not max the milestones. I stopped at 200 million because it took a long time and it wasn't worth it to push to those stretch milestones. Now, I don't think hype should make it take longer to get the same rewards, but that is not a problem with hype itself, guys. It taking longer to win is not a hype problem. That's a contest problem. They're two different things, right? If it takes too long for the whole game to score the same points they were scoring, that isn't a problem with hype. That's a problem with the contest balance. All they need to do is rebalance it, which I would suggest they do. So this is the way, in my opinion, this should be done. I don't like how long it took to score points. What I would suggest is I figure it took about somewhere between 25 to 35% longer to get the same amount of points for me. It could be slightly different, right? My suggestion to Scopely would be start at increasing scoring 25% and see how that goes. And you're like, Mherex, why would you say 25% if it might be 40%? Why not start higher? Because in the past, we've seen Scopely tends to overcorrect both ways, right? So they add too much and then they dial it back too much, and then people get this yo-yo of happy, mad, happy, mad. So what I think they should do is increase scoring responsibly until it gets in line with the time requirements it was before. So again, to me, that isn't a hype problem. That is a contest design problem. So my advice to Scopely would be to increase feud point scoring for the same thing we were doing. Pretty easy fix, right? I would say. If you have suggestions on that, please put it in the comments, right? 2, you need MP reversals or MP down to beat overhyped people. That's actually not accurate at all. But there is a problem that needs to be addressed because they are two very good strategies. For example, in the ladies feud, my best person actually fighting overhyped people for me was Michelle McCool. Right. And I know she's new. And so I'm just using this as an example. There are plenty that can do this kind of thing. She has a kick out that heals for 33 million. She's got this entourage. I use this. Right. It's a very simple coach. And the setup being maybe potentially whaley and stuff is fine. That doesn't matter. She hit way harder than she needed to win. I have the gear. Yes. That's not, again, the point. The point is she was not hyped, and I consistently used her against hyped people, both multiply and not multiply because of the kick out, right? She has a large health pool in feud because she's a showboat. And with the multiply on, the multiply users didn't hit me hard enough to kill me. I'd just kick out and then kill them with the kick out buff and heal. If they weren't the only person I really didn't go against, I didn't go against any move damage people, but there are very few. and the only really, really good one is Rhea, right? So in the case of Michelle McCool, because she's got a lot of health in the kick out, she doesn't even need a reversal, right? There are characters that can do that sort of thing. I think another one that would come to mind, although I didn't use her, would be Maxine. I believe she's got a kick out here somewhere. Yeah. Now, I don't know what necessarily build that would look like, right? Because I don't use Maxine, but she does have a kick out. So potentially using people with kickouts is another thing, right? Also, I use Bliss a lot because she has the evolution moment. Again, maybe you don't have the evolution moment because she has 100% more health. Also, guys, there are other things you can do. So we have the Hall of Fame trainers that have a ton of HP boost on them, right? So you could, for example, use a Showboat potentially. Let's say like Maxine, right? Maxine might be a really good example, actually. So usually you're using like Lawler, Ricochet, potentially, things like that. And any Showboat in particular that you can use the Hall of Fame trainers on that have the boosted health, or the coaches that have boosted health, which would be like right here, 25 million extra health here. Striker Cody adds 30% health. These are things you can do. All right. So there's a lot of different things you can do besides just reversals. You have coaches that completely neuter multiply gems, right? So multiply reversal, you really don't even need to bring. Just bring the coach for the class. And they don't even need to be leveled very high. It's not a resource thing. And I think most of the multiply reduction coaches are pretty available. I could be wrong, but that's just another example. And that's not something I gave. Now, to the point, it makes it much easier if you have a reversal. And it makes it much easier if you have MP down. Some of the MP down, in fact, a decent chunk of them, are unavailable in the game. In fact, I don't have a lot of them, right? If you go to like MP reduce in the trainer slot, the Ghostbuster ones I have 3 of, but I'm missing 2. Reduce starting MP by 10. And then Johnny Knoxville is another one. So it's 2 Ghostbusters that aren't available. Hogan, Austin, well, more than that. Stay Puff. Hopefully you got seen it, but if you weren't playing, there's 6. All 6 of them are not currently available in the game. I do think that's a problem. That isn't a problem with hype. That's a problem with currently in this meta, strategic trainers. And these aren't trainers that give you a big damage advantage, but they add a ton of strategy to it where you can use them. They need to be in the game. And I'm not saying bring Ghostbusters back, but somehow we need to get this MP reduction into circulation on all of the colors, right? They need to be in circulation. I don't know. Actually, Ocho and I were talking about this a lot. This may surprise some of you guys. He had a suggestion of putting it on the old Hall of Famers, which I think is a fantastic suggestion because a lot of the old Hall of Famers have crappy coaching and training abilities. So there's that. And then when you look at the coaches, these are very important, right? He's still in circulation, I think, but maybe not because Lashley's not with WWE. So when zombies come out, I don't know if he'll be available or not. But these ones are very useful. Booker T still in circulation, so you can get that one. John Morrison is not, though. And I don't believe Cesaro is. And you might be able to get him on the portal. I don't know because I have him. But those ones are very important. Steamboat's still in circulation, so that's good. And Zombie Triple H, that's good. But there's potentially 2 or 3 here of the 3 MPs. So for sure this one and maybe Lashley, right? So, and maybe Cesaro. So there's 1 for sure in Morrison and maybe 2 that aren't. Those all need to be in circulation for all players. Again, not a problem with hype. That's a problem that it happens when Scopely does these like 1 off or 2 off or 3 off things and then discontinue them, or somebody leaves WWE, which would not be a Scopely fault, and then WWE says no, you can't sell or give away or promote or use this character. So I think all of those negative MP reduction coaches and trainers need to be put into circulation. If they can't be put into circulation, their training ability needs to move to someone who can. Again, To me, that's not a problem with hype, though. That's a problem with the availability of the trainers. They're two separate things. All right. And that's something that definitely I don't like currently for a lot of people, including my free to play. My free to play has like no MP down of the trainer variety, and only has the 1 MP variety in the coaches, which is a big problem for this. All right, next one, not free to play friendly. This one I don't understand, guys, right? So you got enough currency to take 12 of any superstar you want. This is free, and this is not including the mega pull. Everybody got enough currency that if they want to, they could choose 12 people, 2 from each class, minimum, to take to hype level 1. When has free to play ever on day 1 of a upgraded tier been able to take even one person to the next tier? So if it had been 7-star, that would have required new tokens that you wouldn't have had. You would have taken nobody to 7-star. No one, right? Also, and this I think is really important. So on my free-to-play account on Mherex Redo, I have enough tokens to take people to 6-star bronze. The only reason I have anyone over 6-star is because I got them as prize well rewards, got lucky in a pull or something like that. I do not have enough shards to take any of my good players, any of them, to 6-star bronze, let alone silver or gold after how long? 4 months in? I can't take a single character to 6-star bronze because I don't have shards. When you're free to play, truly free to play, the hardest thing in this game to get isn't tokens, isn't TP, isn't coins, it's shards. By far, in my experience, and it's not even close. It's by a country mile. Scopely gives out tokens, they give out all these other things, they don't really give out shards. Key pulls are really low quantity. You basically have to hope you get dupe pulls of somebody, or there's somebody that was S tier and goes into the trash bin, and then they're super cheap, end up in key pulls. You hit them a bunch of times. You know what I mean? You have to get really lucky. It's a slow grind. And that's just to get to 6-star bronze, let alone silver, let alone gold. Now imagine 7-star, how many more shards you would need to go to 7-star. I don't see how hype is any worse for free to play than any new rollout. In fact, I think it's significantly better. They're giving you 12. You have a daily speed tour to get the currency. Yeah, I don't see it. And if you're saying, yeah, but it's hard for me if I fight hype level 3 people, well, yeah, of course it is. It will be hard for you if you fight hype level 3 people. This is another thing I want to bring up. Part of the problem, and this is to the commenter who said, I saw a whole roster full of 3s. Like, he was talking about it like it was happening all the time. On Mherex account, let's just talk about this for a second, guys. I have a 15.4 million roster. Before hype, the max I would run in feud would be usually 7, once in a blue moon 8, 275 to 280k roster. Why? Because I don't want to face the whales. You might think I'm a whale, but I am not a whale. I didn't want to play against the whales, so I run 275, 280k. It's very comfortable. A lot of wins, you know, very easy, right? During hype, when I was doing CSS, I ran 4. And when I was done with CSS, I ran 5 or 6, right? 5 or 6. Most of the time, I ran 2 or at most 3 hyped characters. Most of the time, I only ran 2 because I don't want to use crappy fighters, right? And I didn't use my wild card. I deliberately handcuffed myself so I could see what the experience might be like, right? In running those smaller lineups, I saw 3s hardly ever. And by smaller, I mean like 225k or lower, which really isn't that small. I think I saw 3s all feud maybe 2 or 3 times, 1 3. The one time I saw a 3, the first time I did, I used a non-hype character to see if I could win, and I did. I won non-hyped against a 3 with the lineup I was running. My point is, though, if you're seeing all 3s, that's a you problem. You need to understand how Feud works. If you don't know how Feud works, that's okay. But if you know how Feud works, and you do this anyway, so right, if you know, like, you fill every slot, you run a 320k roster, then you're mad that you saw people with level 3 hype. No offense, but that's on you. And if you knew, you're kind of dumb. If you didn't know, you're not dumb, right? You just didn't understand. Once you understand and have the knowledge, then you can make a good decision. That's like me saying, yeah, I want to jump off the cliff, so I'm gonna, so I jump off the cliff and I die. Yeah, I'm a dumb butt, right? If I do that. So just because, like, I don't understand, like, why would you deliberately sabotage yourself by running a huge roster? So that there's no way you're going to see a bunch of threes. Also, one of the biggest whales in the game has one card he considers usable at level 3. Now, he didn't have good RNG. He didn't like a lot of the ones he got hyped for, but he has one card he considers good at level 3. I'm not going to say his name. Doesn't matter. You can believe me or not. I don't care. But I find it very, very hard to believe that you ran into a full roster of threes in general. And so, like, I find that comment pretty disingenuous. If you did run into it, you're probably not playing very smart, unless you didn't know, in which case, just run a smaller lineup, man, and your life will be way easier. So those are kind of like, I just don't see it not being free to play friendly. And you guys know, through my career in Champions, I've really tried to be a friend to free to play. I'm playing a free to play account now. Feud with no hype was really not much harder at all than it normally would be for him. He gets his face kicked in when the lineup doesn't work out, right? When I get a bad draw. Like, I had one match where they had a level 2 or 2 hyped Michelle McCool, so they have top lane. They had a level 2 hype, I forget who was in their second slot, both gold, and then for some reason they just ran us unhyped silver. So they were running 3 characters with a top line, which I've never seen anything like that before. And that one, I got my face kicked in. But guess what? Hype or no hype, I was getting my face kicked in on that draw anyway. So that just happens sometimes on smaller accounts, right? That's part of it. Do I like that? No, but that's not a hype problem. That's a problem with the game in general, right? 5, impossible to win. I proved repeatedly all weekend long it is not impossible to win. I had a bunch of videos showing wins against overhyped people. That's just completely patently false. You may not want to do it. You may not like what it takes, but it's definitely not impossible. That's just factually inaccurate. That's not open for debate, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that one. 6, I want to use who I want. That's fine. Again, everybody had 12 people to choose. 6 males, 6 females. How are you not using who you wanted to? I'm just curious. I'm legitimately curious. Nothing said you had to use a hype. Nothing said you had to fill lanes. I didn't fill lanes. And I didn't use my wildcard currency, and guess what? I still used who I wanted to. So I just don't get that comment, right? Like, how are you not able to use who you want? It's not like you're consistently running into overhyped people, guys. And you could have like your 6 favorite, male and female, hyped up. How many favorites do you have that you want to use? We all know people tend to use the same people in Feud and rarely change it. So yeah, I don't understand. Timing, completely agree. The timing was horrible. Releasing it 5 hours before a weekend feud, in my opinion, was the height of stupidity. Right? So again, for people that say in the comments of this video, Mherex, you're defending Scopely, what did I just say? Releasing at that time was the height of stupidity. I'm not defending Scopely. I'm simply giving my thoughts on hype here, right? What else is there to say? What they should have done, and again, this is the solution, is just release it on a Monday of maybe like today when nothing's going on, right? That would have been way smarter, for sure. I think that overwhelmingly pretty much everyone agrees on. Maybe they wanted to get data or something, sure. But if they wanted data, player base suffered for it. So, I'm not for that. 8, I can't go turn 1. That is correct. And this is going to maybe be controversial, and that's fine. This we can have a difference of opinion on. Because this is my opinion. Why does that matter? Like, I get it that you've always went turn 1 in this game, but every other game you play, you're not guaranteed to win. This game, right now, with my roster, literally, unless I do something wrong, I can't lose. And by wrong, I mean I just don't think. If I don't think, I cannot lose in feud. If I take the time to check and stuff, I will never lose. Why would I want to play a game where I never lose? Like, no chance of losing? What? I mean, like, every kid gets a trophy, right? Like, maybe you think that's fun? I don't. And I saw comments of, I'd rather have this be RNG. If it was RNG, I would quit. I don't want to get screwed by RNG. I want to get screwed because I made a mistake or whatever. I want to know why I'm getting screwed, not just random chance. If hype going off or procking was RNG based that they'd get the first turn, I 100% would quit. Because that's the dumbest thing ever. You can't plan against it. You can't strategize against it. You can't do any of that. So you might not, this is where we can agree to disagree. You might hate it. I love it. For the first time in I don't know how long, years and years and years, I had to use my brain in feud. And I had more fun because it wasn't mind-numbingly boring clicking 2 or 3 buttons over and over, right? I played the same amount I usually play. The score was what it was. I didn't care, right? I literally didn't care. I just was actually having fun feuding because it wasn't mindless clicking of buttons. Now, back to the beginning, I think it's a huge problem that it takes longer, but that's an event problem, not a hype problem, okay? There's a few more things like I want to address from the comments, in particular the shard equation, right? And in general, it takes so many shards of a character to take them up star levels. I've talked to a ton of people on my streams. I asked them how many golds they had, if they don't spend it all. 6 golds, 8 golds, and they've been playing a long time. Not uncommon. I have like 140 golds, guys, and I'm not a whale. Like, I'm a dolphin. I'm a big dolphin, probably. I'm definitely not a whale. There are people with more than 200, 250. Some probably, heck, even have 300 golds. Like, if you think for a second, like, the disparity is massive. Also, Scopely is limited hype to level 4 to start, which is a big help. But again, guys, a lot of the problems with hype that you're having is relearning the system. And now you might say, I don't want to learn something new. And that's fair. That's your opinion. That can't be wrong. I think it's fun to learn something new. I get that not everyone else does. Again, this isn't me defending Scopely. The one thing I've always liked about Champions over the years is that it changes. And that's why I've played it so long personally. It's been a very long time, though, since it changed. And I personally have been very bored, right? So for me, something new was needed. Now, I do want to make a comment, too. Of all the people saying hype sucks, make it go away. It's not going to go away, guys. They spent time, money developing it, right? It's what we're having instead of 7-star. Hype won't go away. So just you railing at the moon saying this sucks, take hype away, does nothing. If it sucks, tell Scopely why it sucks and what they should do to fix it, which doesn't involve saying hype is the worst thing ever. Remove it from the game, because that's not going to happen. You can yell and shake your fist at the clouds like an angry man all day, and that won't happen. So try and give constructive feedback like, hey, it takes too long to score. Can we increase the percentage we get from wins? That's a good solution. Hey, I need MP down people so I can be more strategic. Can we get MP down coaches and trainers that aren't available into circulation somehow, right? Those are valid things. But I think I've addressed a lot of the issues personally, with hype, I think I've addressed some of the good stuff, at least for me. I do happen to think it's free-to-player friendly. You may disagree, but compared to any other rollout we've ever had of any increased system, straps, medals, plates, tier 6, tier 6 silver, tier 6 bronze, tier 6 gold, free got way more than they ever have, and I think it's way more equal, especially if you set your lineup right. Now, we haven't had Showdown yet. I think Showdown will be particularly hard to beat certain defenses, but again, you can refresh and find somebody that's not a high level hype. So for me, I don't anticipate it to be hard until you get towards the higher notoriety spots, which unless a lot of people were whales or spending, you probably weren't getting to already, right? So you can see my highest level hype. Let me see if I can if it'll show up when I do this. I got a couple twos. I got a 3 boss man after the fact, right? I wasn't able to use them in feud, so that's cool. That one's pretty useful. And then I got 2 super unuseful 3s here somewhere. It's by hype points, so it doesn't show up. I got Andre, Hall of Fame, who I'll never use. I don't put people in just because they have hype, by the way. I don't freaking care. I'll just use the good players I like. Yeah, Hall of Fame Andre, he never saw usage, and he was 3 the whole feud. Why would I put him in? I hate him, right? And there's some other super crappy character I got that's like level 3 hype, and I definitely never put them in. So, yeah, I think a lot of stuff, I think people are making a mountain out of a molehill in a lot of these cases, to be honest. It's not me defending Scopely. I played it. I showed a bunch of it in action. I got disliked for it. I got attacked, right? Like, I guess I shouldn't show that it's not bad, question mark, or as bad as you say. I don't think it's bad, guys. And you guys know me. I speak my truth. I had fun. Well, I don't know what to say. I don't think it's that hard. I don't think it's that bad, and I do think it's fun. I understand if you don't think those things, and that's okay, right? But let's try and make it better for everybody. So, like I said, I do think some things are wrong. I'm not saying it's perfect. We need to increase the time. We need to get MP trainers back in the game. Those are the 2 really big things. I think that would go a long way. And as we go forward, I just think we'll find more and more strategies, more ways to combat overhype, more characters, which is what I would like to focus on. So like I told you guys about McCool, I think her stock went up huge to me. I haven't really looked into males that have kickouts and stuff with really good kits that work with the kickout. So like 2 moves and a kickout to complement it. But there's going to be a lot of really solid superstars, I think, for hype that maybe we weren't really thinking about prior to, right? So it's not just reversal people, and keep in mind, everybody that comes out now just about has reversals. So they're putting reversals on just about everybody. And then also, guys, hype is capped, right? When you're even hype level, unless you're at a class disadvantage, everything is the same as it always was. So I think hype will be hardest early on, honestly. I think for the next 2 months is the hardest hype will be, and then I think it'll get easier because you'll have more people max level hype. If you do the speed tour daily, you get enough for 2 mega pulls each month, plus you get a bunch of the wildcard hype points. So if you focus your wildcard on a specific character that you like, take Devon, for example. I actually happen to love him as an acrobat. I have 34 or 20 universal hype for him, right? So I almost have enough to take him 3 if I wanted to, or 34, yeah. 20 for him, 34 total. 6 more universal acrobat, I could take him to hype level 3, and then he's 1 away from max, which does take 110. So it will take a while to get there. But I think if you focus on your hype, focus on your roster, I think it will be the hardest with good roster building the first couple 3 months, and then I think it will get easier. But everybody's in the same boat, guys. It's relative, right? What do I have on my roster that's big? Boss Man, I think, is pretty good at level 3. But other than that, what do I have that jumps out as completely insane, right? Level 2 isn't insane. And the 3 guys I have, my ladies, I don't have a single level 2 hype lady. My ladies are actually and it was super enjoyable with the ladies, right? Like I got a Charlotte at 1, I got a Raquel at 1, Acro Rhea at 1. I don't even have a level 2. That's what I got. That's what I ran with all feud, right? And I didn't even use all of them all the time. I used mostly Becky and Rhea. I didn't use Raquel once, and I used Charlotte. So those are the ones I have, all level 1 ladies, right? So it's not like I got a barn burner here of hype. You know what I mean? I'm not making this up. You can see my roster. Like, I don't have high hype. For ladies, I didn't use anyone over level 1. And I found it quite enjoyable. So, and that's just my opinion. Again, I hope this is really long. I hope you guys actually listen to what I said and try and think from that perspective, right? Like, I don't know. I really was surprised at how many people were actually upset at me when I was making videos showing how to win. If you think I should be doing something different, let me know in the comments what that is. Because I don't feel like I defended Scopely at all. I just feel like I tried to show people how to play. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you take the time to listen to this whole thing and comment and let me know what you're thinking. And I'll continue to try and make content that helps with hype as we go along. And I'll continue to say the things I think they could do to improve it. Like and I already did. I gave that feedback in the moderator chat. Increase the percentage of scoring and bring MP trainers back into circulation. And I'll continue to give that feedback. I think that needs to happen. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments, and remember to like, subscribe, and share, because that really helps me out. Other than that, guys, thanks for watching. Good luck out there.